Hello, Space and Treasure Coast. This is Seeta on the Talk to Me radio station, AM 1300 WMEL, and worldwide at 1300WMEL.com. My co-host today is none other than the fabulous, terrific Ellen Little.
Hello, Seeta. It's good to be with you again.
And we have an action-packed show today. We've got our studio today, Ellen, is quite crowded, which is a good thing. This is really nice.
Yeah.
We've got my friend Laura Chiesman on board with us in studio this morning.
Hello, good morning.
Actually, it's a good afternoon at this point.
Yes,
it's 7
it is.
minutes after.
It is.
It's actually good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
And we have Tom Kirk, who is the president of FirstWave Financial, and he is also an author. Tom
Good
would say
afternoon, Seeta.
a hearty good afternoon. And with us as well is Mary Allen, who is the founder and president of Genesis House here in Merritt Island, right? Is it in
Melbourne?
In Melbourne. In Melbourne. And that was Mary who just corrected me there. So Ellen, we've been
Big
talking
news this weekend.
a lot of big news. This morning on the news, we heard about that ill-fated flight that we spoke about last weekend.
And everybody should listen to the podcast because Seeta called it.
Yeah,
She called it last week. So we are going to start a little pool going for anything that's missing anymore, that Seeta's going to be able to find it.
Yeah.
Last week you said that it was going to be found in the Indian Ocean, and I was all about the Somalia pirate attack. So you must have alerted someone, Seeta.
I didn't. You know what? I'm an MSNBC junkie and a CNN junkie, and I was listening to all the the pundits, these experts, and it's kind of laughable at some time because the experts come on and tell you all these things, but common sense tells you, by the way, the plane was, they were flying the plane and then they couldn't find it and then everything was turned off, and the flight pattern, to me, it just looked like it went towards the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Well,
said
our
that.
prayers and our thoughts go out to all of those families that lost loved ones on that particular ill-fated flight. That's a hard thing to say, ill-fated flight.
It is.
But they finally get closure, which is what I think probably anybody who goes in that has those types of accidents would say would be the biggest part, is about that closure piece.
Right. And then in Florida today, there was a lot of there's an article and a lot of opinions about the immigration bill that's been debated for the children of people that came into the United States as illegal immigrants, and whether or not they should get in-state tuition or raise the tuition for those kids. And in my humble opinion, being an immigrant myself, I just thought that you can't hold a child who came into this country at the age of 6 months or 2 years accountable for what their parents did to bring them to the United States. So if the child is brilliant and has a great future ahead of them, I think they should be allowed to go to college and pay the in-state tuition if that's what it takes. But to raise it on them just for no fault of their own, I thought that was a little.
And I'm sure that'll be a big topic for the governor's race. I know that was one of the topics that they were bringing up. And then also we have all of the unrest that's going on in Russia and the Ukraine.
Yeah, and I'm going to call that again on AM 1300 WMEL.
Here we go.
AM 1300. I think Mr. Putin would find a way to divide Ukraine and probably take a little chunk of it for himself. I think so. And I don't know if can stop a person like that, because, we had so much faulty information in when we went into the war in Iraq and all that I don't know if people in world leaders believe us anymore, but I know that the United States means well, and I know that we want to bring democracy all over the world, and our system may not be perfect, but it's the best in the world.
And you wonder about those types of events that happen and Seeta's trying to kill a bug if you hear her clapping. That's what that is. But we wonder about what kind of effect that has on all of, in the entire country. We have Tom Kirk here with us, who is the president of FirstWave Financial, and we're so glad to have you with us because we can start with that. What's a little bit of your take on some of the things that happen in world politics and how that happens, how that changes us?
Changes the way we invest.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because a lot of people think what happens overseas in Europe or Russia or any part of the world does not affect the United States, but it does, because it affects the market, the S&P and the Dow and all that.
Right. Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here with you this morning. Yeah, that's really a very good point Seeta just made about how important the entire world is to how capitalism now works. I saw a statistic that actually if you took the capitalization of all the privately traded companies in the world, more than half of the world's capital now is outside of the United States. So while it is certainly a challenging time, I think, for Crimea and Ukraine and what's going on over there, I grew up in the 70s, and so it feels a little Cold War-ish, with these kind of war of words that we're getting ready to get involved in. And we're seeing some of that reflected by the fear it's creating in the Russian economy, particularly in some of the European markets with some negative performance. But while our natural instincts might have us retreat in a period like this, actually when things are kind of unsettled might be the best time to deploy some capital into that area, because when that fear is removed, when certainty occurs, the markets tend to respond positively. And that certainty doesn't necessarily have to be what it is that we want. It's just the unknown that we're in right now that causes this negative pressure on the market. And once the unknown becomes known, the markets can respond to that, and we'll have some positive performance. That is, you mentioned the name FirstWave Financial of our company, and that's a good example of the name FirstWave. I grew up here in the beach community in Brevard County and have spent a lot of time in the ocean, a lot of time on my surfboard. And many times when you're sitting waiting to catch a wave, it'll look like the waves are breaking better to the left or to the right, and not necessarily where you are. But if you paddle over there, you'll find that the waves are gone, and then now they're happening back where you were. And so the same thing can happen with our money, in that you mentioned the housing recovery here domestically. It's a common trait for people to wait until the water's warm before they step into the pool. Often then they're missing the first, second, maybe third wave of the recovery in that part of the market.
And I think you had said that in the green room, that there are two biggest mistakes that people make, and we're going to repeat this a couple of times throughout the show. But what are the two, in your opinion,
what are the two biggest mistakes people make is concentrated investing, putting all their eggs in one basket. The opposite is diversification. And the other one is trying to time the market, trying to be in when the market's doing well and being out when the market's doing poorly. Both of those tactics are strongly encouraged by a lot of print and press and internet, communication. But the risk, and I know a lot of people are attracted to that because it appears to be a safer approach, be in when it's doing well and out when it's doing badly. Unfortunately, the risk of getting that wrong is higher than if you took your money and went to play blackjack.
Wow.
Okay, who would take it? Because the blackjack is only 51% in favor of the house. Okay, it's one of the gambling games that is closest to break even. No one would take their retirement plan and go take it to a casino, but many people will try to be in the market when it's good and out of the market when it's bad, which actually has a higher risk of failure than a good blackjack player. Again, the objective is to be safer with your money, but like in some things in life, your natural survival instincts can sometimes encourage you to do exactly the wrong thing that has exactly the opposite result.
Well, and one of the reasons why you started FirstWave Financial was really about, or maybe it's just the theme now, but it's been about transformation, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it, and the reason why you wrote your book. And again, here on 1300WMEL.com, you're listening to Tom Kirk with FirstWave Financial, and we're about to talk about his book and some of the reasons why he opened up FirstWave Financial.
Yes, thank you very much. The reason I created FirstWave Financial is to help transform the complexities that many people have about their money into confidence about their financial future. There's no lack of information anymore. It's all available at our fingertips. You can spend 10, 20 hours a week reading and studying and analyzing things.
And watching the E-Trade babies.
Yes.
Watching the E-Trade babies, yeah, we all like that.
Right?
Yeah, they're fantastic. But as I was mentioning just before the show, there's a concept I've just recently read about called the paradox of choice. Economics training that I came through would suggest that the greater the number of choices for the consumer, the better, because there's lots of options and you can discount the ones you don't like and you end up with a tailored solution. But what's happening now is that with all the information available available and all the choices. For instance, there's 8,000 mutual funds, and they're propagating like rabbits.
Yeah, people freeze up.
They do, and there's contrary and conflicting information about all of them. So you can have two opposite strategies. One says, buy stocks, one says buy real estate, and they both make a strong argument. So you, as the consumer, are left in the financial expert seat of trying to figure out what the heck you're supposed to do. And most financial things that you read about on these other sources are spun to be able to be bought. They tell you all the good things about it, not necessarily the bad, and the consumers know that, so they end up sitting on their money in cash and missing that first wave again. So we take our clients through a proprietary 7-step process to get clear about what's important to them about their future, and then develop the strategies together to help them achieve that with the help of a team of wealth coaches that average 20 years worth of experience in the financial services business. So we've seen other ways of helping clients and having people make decisions about their money, and we just see the transformation our clients go through, so they can, maybe for the first time in their lives, enjoy the abundance they already had in their life, but they're kind of frozen and held captive by this fear and confusion and complexity.
Yeah, I know at one point I remember people saying that it was easier for them to just bury the money in the backyard again in the
or the
can,
mattress,
right?
But, I have a question. How do we get more young people to invest? Because there's a myth out there with the young people. They're not sure where the money is going. They don't take the time to invest. They don't understand that they need to diversify. How do we get more young people here in America to put their money and just say, forget about it? Mm-hmm. Invest it, make a long-term investment. Even if it's $2,000, less than that, they can do it.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. And it's really important for a young person to start saving young, because at the very beginning, the main contribution to the increasing pile of money that you're saving is driven by what you save every year, not by the return that you get. Because when you're saving $2,000 in your example, if it goes up by 10% or 20%, that's $200 or $400, which are big numbers. But if you add another $2,000 to it, it just went up $2,000, just doubled. You add another $2,000, it goes up to $6,000. So the very beginning of the wealth accumulation process is driven primarily by the annual savings. I think we're going through a transition, I think, in our country where we were, and I hope we don't go back to this, we were overextended. We were still overextended in some ways nationally, but the housing bust we had was because we were overextended, borrowed too much, spent beyond our means, drove up the prices of houses. I think living within your means starts as a young person.
That's something my mom used to say, don't hang your hat where you can't reach it.
I like that. I'm going to use that, Seeta. Yeah. That's fantastic.
There's actually a calypso.
Stick around, Tom. There's a lot of Trinidadian.
I think what she meant was lived a life you can afford.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're blessed to have 2 adult children. Our daughters are now 29 and 27 and married, and they've been working in different jobs their whole life and trying to teach them some financial responsibilities. And part of the model that we started with them, and they're still complying with, I think, I don't have as much influence as I used to, if I ever had. But
if you're listening, your dad's expecting this.
Yeah.
By the way.
And he's always right.
Yeah. They take what you make, pay your taxes, give 10% to God, save 10%, and go spend the rest.
Yeah, that 10% is always a nice number to remember.
Now that
pay
probably won't. Yeah,
and
take what you make.
Yep.
You're going to pay your taxes.
Yep.
Pay Caesar first.
Yeah, that's
right. Got to pay your taxes. Give 10% to God, save 10%, and go spend the rest. And if you do that from the time you're 15 until the time you're 60, you're going to be a lot further along. Now, it's very difficult for a young person coming out of college, for instance, to apply that, because in my book I write about the seasons of financial life we go through. And when you first get married and you're starting a career and you're having kids and you're going into debt to buy your first home, it consumes a lot of your cash flow. But if you try to stick to that 10% minimum, then as you come through the other end, like where I am, my wife and I, we've checked off a couple of the unfunded chain letters, I call them, marriage and college education.
Right, very good.
You really don't know what those are going to cost until you're done.
Right.
Well, we're done. Both our girls are educated and married, and so I'm actually able to save more more than 10% now. Okay, and I talk about in the book about how that can contribute to your wealth as well. But living within your means will get you a lot further along from the very beginning, and it'll last you for the rest of your life, because eventually, if you're planning on living off of what you've saved, you also have to live within your means. You know, a lot of people look at a big pile of money and they think, oh goodness, I can go crazy and spend everything I want to, and then they live to be 85 or 90 or 95 or 100 or 125. I mean, who knows what life expectancies are going to be in the next...
It's way past 90. We know. I have a patient at one of the nursing home that I work in, and one of the family members told me that they've spent close to $800,000 on that particular patient, because she's in good condition, her heart's in good condition, and she's still alive, and the good Lord is not ready. But she was wise in that her husband had invested in a lot of stocks way back in the railroad, and AT&T and things like that. Mm-hmm. Long-term stocks, long-term investment that paid off. Mm-hmm. So you're right, you're not sure how much money you're going to need as you get older.
And that's, in the book I talk about, no matter how much wealth you have, you can always worry about money. And that's part of what our planning process helps address, is that all of these kind of contingencies that you think about, we can plan for. You know, we can at least project out. Now, you know, a friend of mine says, man plans and God laughs. You know, so nothing is going to happen exactly like we plan it out. But planning is better than not planning. You know, having a plan and then monitoring your progress as you move down that road and making adjustments as life changes, which it will, continues to keep your confidence high and removes a lot of that anxiety, because, you know, if you're worried about tomorrow all the time, you can't enjoy today.
Tom, two things I have to ask you. First, how can a person get a hold of the FirstWave Financial? And you've talked about the book, but we haven't said the name of the book and where we can buy it.
Sure, that's right. Sure. Well, you can get a hold of us. Our website is firstwavefinancial.com, and our telephone number locally is really easy to remember. It's 773-7773. Just give us a call. We'll respond to your call immediately. The name of my book is Are You Worried About Your Money? How to gain confidence about your money in a rapidly changing world. Because, like I said, when we find friends and clients, relatives and neighbors, most people don't know where they are on their pathway to their financial future they desire. Are they ahead of where they should be by now? Are they behind of where they would like to be by now? And without that knowledge, there's really no way you can pick and choose what strategies are necessary to get you from here to there, because you probably don't know where here is or there is.
Well, one of the nice things, too, about the book is that you're already on revision 2.0.
Yes.
And we had spoken about that in the green room, that the ability to be able to update the book as things change. You may want to stick with one revision at one point, but being able to grow with this book and really understanding your money as the times change is really part of that transformation that you're talking about, specifically with FirstWave.
Yes, Financial. It is. Yes, it is. The version 1.0, I sent out to a kind of a small group of people and asked for their feedback. Version 2.0, I included that and we modified it. On the book it says, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. You know, so we've got a website, an email address to send thoughts and comments to, that people would like to see more of this or less of that, or can you give me an example here, an example there. I'd like to be able to modify that for the next publication. And with current technology, it's just so easy to be able to be responsive to the people we hope to help.
And was there any age bracket that you were looking at specifically? Were you looking at retirees as your inspiration for the book, or was it sort of everyone?
Here on AM 1300 WMEL and 1300WMEL.com, we do have young people that listens. We have people that are older that listens. We have middle-aged people. And I know for those of you who are just tuning in, you're probably wondering, we're talking to Tom Kirk, who's talking about he's the president and founder of FirstWave Financial, as well as an author of a book that Ellen is going to have to repeat the name again of that book. We'll have Tom repeat it.
Yeah, we'll have him repeat it because it's a long title.
It is.
I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
Well, it's a short title. Are you worried about your money?
Are you worried? And who isn't?
Everybody's worried about their money. Well, some people, they've gone through our process, actually are less worried about their money. That's what they tell us. Right. They say, before we came here, we felt we had to watch the news and pay attention, and we're worried. You know, so many, you know, we're wired, excuse me, as human beings to pay attention to fear and worry, because, as I write in the book, if it comes from the days that we were living in caves, and if we didn't notice the tiger outside of our door, we died. If we didn't notice a pretty flower, we could see it the next day. So when we're constantly getting bombarded that a financial tiger tiger is ready to eat you, it causes people to worry, perhaps unnecessarily. You can't ignore the world, but it becomes overbearing.
And people are so suspicious when it comes to their jewelry and money and things like that. I had my sister's mother-in-law used to walk around with a little bag everywhere she went. She had her jewelry in there and her cash.
Oh, my goodness.
And she took it. She died at the age of 72, but every single place she went, she held on to that bag. She just didn't trust anybody with it. And I often wondered, what is she carrying around in that bag all the time? It turned out she had her jewels in there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So, I mean, you're right. It's that mentality. People are just fearful.
Right, and but they don't have to be. There's certain things we shouldn't be fearful of.
Well, and it sounds like that 7-step process really does put people's mind at ease, and it's proprietary, right? It's something that you created.
I created myself. Yes,
excellent,
I did.
Excellent.
And so they just make an appointment with you and come in and see you or a financial advisor at the firm, and you go from there.
Yes, we have 4 wealth coaches at the firm, and so we can be responsive immediately to the needs.
And for those people who are listening and says, well, I only have a couple $100 at the end of the year to invest, what would you say to that person?
We would probably suggest that they use a low transaction custodians such as Schwab or Fidelity, and we can direct them at the type of tools they have available there to be able to make good decisions about their money as efficiently as possible.
Well, we're here listening to Tom Kirk, who is the president of FirstWave Financial. We'll be right back right after these messages from our sponsors. Welcome back, Space and Treasure Coast. This is Ellen Little on Viewpoints with Seeta and Friends here on the Talk to Me radio station, 1300 WMEL, and worldwide on 1300WMEL.com. We have had a great first half of our show, Seeta. We've had Tom Kirk here, who is the president and founder of FirstWave Financial and also an author of Are You Worried About Your Money? That's the Amazon title, correct?
Correct.
So you can find that on Amazon.com. And we kind of neglected in the first half of our show because we got so excited about some of the great information that he was sharing. We have with us also Laura Chiesman, who's a financial wealth advisor with FirstWave Financial as well. So one of the great people that you'll get to meet is Laura. She was also in the Space Coast Business Magazine, so you can actually read about her and all of her great credentials.
Yes, thank you.
So Laura, do you have anything to add before we move on? Because I know we have some other things to talk about, about FirstWave Financial or some of the services that you provide there.
Well, Tom did a great job of describing how we work with our clients, and to highlight the fact that what our clients tell us is that they are transformed by the process we take them through, and we hear it more often than I even expect to, and it's such a great pleasure and honor to quite often be told by people what a difference we make to them, and that they can relax, enjoy their lives, not worry so much about themselves or the future of their children, grandchildren, and it's just very gratifying on a day-by-day basis to be there.
Well, and one of the other things that you're very proud of with FirstWave Financial is also the giving back that you do to the community. Mary Allen is the founder of Genesis House.
Yes.
Excellent. So tell us about how FirstWave Financial and Genesis House became connected.
Okay. Well, Mary Allen is my mother.
Yes.
They look alike.
Yes,
you do.
Thank you. So I've been involved with Genesis House since I was a teenager, I suppose, in one way or another. Mom started that back in 36 years ago, and not to give away our ages, but 36 years ago, she started that organization, and I'll let her in a moment tell you more about that. But as I became involved at FirstWave Financial, one of the other great things about working there, other than helping our clients, is that we have a real family and community-oriented team. The culture there is helping. We help each other, we help our clients, and we love to help the community. We feel like many of us have been here for a long time. It's been a great place for us to grow up, have our children grow up, and to do business in, so we get a lot of great pleasure and satisfaction from helping others in the community. And our focus over the years is kind of fine-tuned based on the interests that people that work with us have personally. We have Junior Achievement, Ronald McDonald, Children's Home Society, the BDNC, all have a women and children type flavor to them. So that was a natural progression, and we've begun to focus more and more.
You do a lot with Serene Harbor as well.
Some people in the company volunteer there.
Yes.
And so Genesis House, of course, is near and dear to my heart, and it is extremely focused on women and children. That's the whole point. And I also would like to say Seeta and I have become friends through American Business Women's Association, and Genesis House is also a focus of our group there, too. We do a lot.
I was just about to tell our listeners here on AM 1300 that ABWA has been responsible, which is the American Business Women's Association, for those of you who are listening, for the friendship that I developed with you as well as Ellen.
Oh,
so I also urge people to check out our website, because you do wear many hats.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
we all do.
And tomorrow night, Seeta will be a guest speaker at the ABWA Oceanside chapter, the tomorrow evening dinner. So those of you who might be looking for something to do tomorrow night, it'll be a fantastic meeting.
It's just a blessing to have such a great organization here in town that people can join, and look how many wonderful things we've learned to do and promote and help with in the community.
Yeah, so the theme of our dinner is women of many hats, and Seeta, I think, will provide a great example of how that works.
Yes.
And as a great segue, I'd like to say that this woman to my right here, Mary, also has worn many, many hats. And
I'm interested in the background of Genesis House, where it started, what your mission is for the thoughts of Genesis House.
Genesis House, well, we started in 1977, housing women who were homeless and pregnant women to start with, and we have transitioned into housing homeless women with their children and mothers who are in school, and we strongly promote education with our residents. So we have a house for mothers when they're in school to live with their children while they're completing their education. We've had them stay 4 years. And then we have a house for pregnant women. And again, we're pushing education and getting jobs and becoming self-supporting. So we have 3 shelter homes off the downtown area of Melbourne.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what type of education are people pursuing, or are the women pursuing in Genesis House, or what are they able to acquire?
Well, many of them come and they haven't even completed high school.
Right.
So we push GED and we get them into GED classes. And those that have completed that, we push them to get into formerly BCC, now it's called Eastern State College. And we have many residents who have gotten their BA and even started master's degree programs, gotten really good jobs.
So you want them to stand in their own 2 feet. These are people that you take in and you say, listen, we don't want you to get on welfare or food stamps and all. We want you to get an education and be able to stand on your own 2 feet and be independent.
Absolutely.
So that's beautiful.
That's the whole purpose of it, for them to become self-supporting and not depend upon the social welfare system. So.
That's amazing. And the grouping with FirstWave Financial just makes it that much easier, right?
Really,
because
really
the education portion really has to do with life skills.
Yes.
So does the 7-step process, that proprietary process that Tom has created for FirstWave Financial, is that working with many of the women that are there?
We really need to push that.
Yes.
They are not saving their 10%.
Oh boy!
And how many?
But maybe they're donating through time. Their 10%.
True. What's the capacity of the homes? How many people can stay there?
We have about 47 beds, and so it depends upon how many children we have as to how many mothers we can take in. But usually at Genesis House 1, we can take up to 6 mothers and their children. Genesis House 2, we can take 8 mothers and their children, no more than 3 children at a time.
And what's the longest time they can stay there?
They can stay at Genesis House 2 as long as they are in school.
Wonderful.
So
can you use a desk?
Stay 4 years.
I have a desk at home that I have to give away. Can you use a desk at Genesis?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll have to set that up.
Yeah, so how are some of the ways that people in the community are helping? Because our listeners here on 1300 WMEL and 1300WMEL.com, they're all very heart-centered people, and they all are very involved in the community. So I know they'll want to know how they can help.
Well, they can help, of course, financially. We always need donations. Our bills are high. Our houses are paid for, but the maintenance and renovations that need to be done Oh, I need to
Yes.
look. Okay.
Yeah.
Not talking right.
So you have to. So you were saying that you need money to help pay for the utilities.
Yes. And there's
groundskeeper
always some
things.
renovations that need to be made. Right now, we're adding a counseling room onto Genesis House 2, converting a porch, and we're also putting up some other areas for private areas so they can have counseling, because they do live in a very community, with lots of kids and mothers and other people around, counselors and so
You
forth.
want to give them a place where you can have some quiet time.
Yes.
So what were you seeing 36 years ago in Brevard County that really inspired you to start something like this?
Well, I ran across 3 women that had no place to live, and they were all pregnant, and they were asking me for help, and they had no place to go. And so that's how we got started, not really thinking way ahead 36 years from
right.
then. And we borrowed some money from someone and rented an apartment, and then we started the search for a house. And
Do you ever have any of these women that give the children up for adoption, or they keep the children and they raise them?
some place for adoption.
Yes.
And we have actually 2 people on our board of directors that have adopted children that were originally born through Genesis House.
That's beautiful.
And both those kids have finished college, and one is working on it. I think he's working on his doctoral. So
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
what a great opportunity for women who are down on their luck and have nowhere to go.
Yeah,
'Cause,
exactly.
I mean, here you have, and so do you have a lot of people that donate their services, like maybe doctors, engineers, anyone that you need to come and help at the place?
well, we need people that can come do kind of menial things, like fix a fan.
So when the girls are ready to give
fix a
birth-
toilet that broke.
So when the girls are ready to give birth, I would assume that some of them have insurance and some don't, and you would need like an obstetrician to probably deliver babies and stuff like that, or that's covered
they
with the
all
state?
go to the hospital.
Okay,
of
so it's
course,
Medicaid.
To homes. No, I have that bug.
Oh,
It's just a little fly.
yeah, it is.
Because you're thinking prenatal care and all that, it costs a lot of money.
Sure it does.
So you have to have these girls been taken care of for the entire time.
And most of them get on Medicaid, and hopefully they can find a way to get off from Medicaid by finding a job, becoming
Right.
educated.
Well, I do know that there's some physician friends of mine who are listening, so if you can't donate your services, you can make a donation. You could put some money there.
Yes.
So, and what would be the website or the phone number for someone to call?
Our phone number is 723-3133, and our website is genesishouseshelter.org.
.org. I always get stuck on that too. I have
We're having a
website.
great show
That's right.
today
Yeah, but
about
if you just
health
put
and wealth
Genesis-
and prosperity.
Yeah, you can just put Genesis House up on Google, and
it comes
it'll
right
come
up.
to us.
Yes, and actually we have it posted on our Facebook page. We have Tom's book posted on our Facebook page. It's right underneath the piece about today's show. We also have Laura Chiesman's article from the Space Coast Business Magazine, which is also on there. And we've also posted Genesis House. So any one of those 3 ways, it sounds like it would be an easy way for you to contact either FirstWave Financial or get through to Genesis House. So tell us some of the other things that are going on. What are some of the other ways that you're able to raise money for Genesis House?
Well, we have an upcoming golf tournament, which is on April 27th, and we are looking for big-time sponsors that will help us support that tournament, and whole sponsors, and of course come play. And FirstWave has their teams going and their sponsorship, and we really appreciate that.
Fantastic. And where is the golf tournament
It's going to
being
be at the Sun Tree Golf Course.
Excellent.
Country Country Club.
Country Club.
And it looks like you've got quite a few of my favorite local fans that are on here. Yes. Long Doggers is one of my fans. I love that place.
Can you use the services of retired teachers
Oh,
to
yes,
come
we
tutor?
always have
Because we do have
need
a lot
for
of teachers that
tutors.
listen in as well on AM 1300
Yes.
WMEL to Viewpoint with Seeta and friends. And I know we have friends that are retired that are donating their time with the veterans and different outfits. So maybe if they're listening, they can call in. Because if someone can't contribute monetarily, you can very well use their services.
Absolutely.
To help to either tutor the girls or mentor them in some way. So by the time they go through this pregnancy and the baby's here, they're wholesome again.
Absolutely. And then we have mothers that come with older children, and we have a homework night where we have a tutor that comes in and tutors the kids with their homework. We call it Homework Club. And they do some really fun things as well. One Wednesday night they were blowing up soda cans in the backyard. A science experiment and making cookies and
I remember my first volcano. Remember that?
Right,
I think that was like
volcano.
7th grade.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always exciting.
Yeah.
Mary makes me think by seeing everyone in the room today that it really does take a village to raise a child. Because it's such a team effort from Tom with the financial services and Laura and then you and I and everyone here in the community that does so much. We're very blessed in Brevard to have so many people with so many gifts and talents that they're able to use it. So, I mean, Laura, you should be able to tell us what else can we do here on AM 1300 WMEL on Viewpoint with Seeta and Friends to help your mom and Tom to spread the word about their business. What else can we do?
Well, to spread the word about Genesis House in particular, you're
Yes.
talking? Yes. Well, I think, the golf tournament is an easy way, current way to get involved, and it's easy. We also would be looking for items for the raffle or gift bags that we give to each of the golfers. So that's a nice way to get involved. It's a low time commitment, and so that would be very helpful. I wanted to mention that Tom had talked about transforming our clients' lives and transforming people that may read the book, taking that worry about money and transforming their lives. I really look at Genesis House and other organizations like that as transforming life at kind of a grassroots level. These children, the moms, of course, but the children who may have been experiencing instability, not having enough of what they need, just not being safe.
Right.
That shakes people up.
So giving them an opportunity just to strive.
Right. Having them have a safe place to be, get the care they need, and their moms have some chance of becoming independent is a huge transformation, which we think then seeps out to our whole community. The more well-adjusted, happy, healthy kids we have, the better off the whole community is going to be.
And that's the partnership between you really makes sense because, again, as wealth advisors, people think, like what Seeta had said before, I need much more than $200 or I need much more than X amount of dollars to do something, when actually it's just habits, attitudes, those types of things of just having a different respect for money, right? And a different respect for investing.
Yeah, I mentioned in the book, just thinking about money from a different perspective. A lot of people, they look at each individual decision and they try to analyze it individually. But if they just begin a behavior pattern that it's almost like muscle memory. They're always going to. That's what the great thing is about a 401k, right?
I still bend over and pick up pennies.
Yeah, there you go.
I still do. I still have a penny jar.
Well, you have to have respect for money too. We went to clean the house in Tortoise Island, the old house, and my nephew and my sister and I, we picked up $14.75 in nickels, dimes, and pennies.
Oh, the couches.
And then I said so I said to my sister, let's go to Taco Bell. So we took our $14.76 in pennies, nickels, and dimes to Taco Bell, and we really held up a line. But you know what? I felt so good we were able to buy dinner for the three of us.
Right.
Not that I am an advocate of eating fast food, but the food was good. And my sister said, I can't believe we ate on all the money that probably would have gotten vacuumed up.
Sure.
But I decided, and my mom always said, never let 1 cent go to waste. And so we used it. We actually used that money.
I completely convinced my husband that I could only do the laundry in our house when I realized how much money he leaves in his pockets and doesn't clean it out. And I said, just this alone, I invested, I think it was every year I invest the money that I get because I never touch it because if it was in his pants and he forgot about it. So it's usually $300, $400, something like that at the end of the year. It does add up.
When I came to America, I remember I was 18 years old with a little baby. I came to this country with $5 in my pocket. I'm not kidding you. And I remember taking pennies that I would find on the street and putting it together to buy 1 gallon of gas. So for me, I have respect for pennies, nickels, and dimes. And what you're saying is true. Every little bit helps.
And I tell my nephews all the time, I have a ton of nephews, I tell them all the time, you've never really experienced life until you had to roll dimes for gas. And then once you do, you realize you'll never do that again. And that you never want to do that again if you can help it. So where are the women and where are you finding the women that are able to contribute?
They find us.
I'm sure they do.
They find us.
So how do they?
They call our phone number, the 723-3133 number, and many of them are referred by other agencies. We have we've had 13,000 people go through our houses, and we probably get 50 calls a week. And we have a very good case manager who gives referrals to other agencies. Say if we have a man that calls with children or an intact family, there are other places that can help them. And sometimes they need help with something, but not shelter. So we refer them. But we house many people every week. We had 2 move in over the weekend, and I'm sure this morning several more are moving in.
Wow.
And one left to go live with her mother up in another state, and she had been with us about 3 months and finally got her act together and got reconnected with family and with what she was headed toward. And so we see them make progress and move on, and that's what we're trying to help them with.
Someone just sent me a question. They said, how do you screen the people?
We have them fill out an application and then have a face-to-face interview, and we give them the rules, and sometimes the rules clear them out to start with.
Right.
So if they don't want to follow the rules, they're not going to move into the house. And we're pretty strict about them being neat and clean and signing in and out and moving forward. They can't just sit around watching TV or doing their nails. They have to move forward every day. They're looking for getting into school, looking for a job, looking for permanent housing if they're not in the student house. If they're in the student house, then they must be being accountable every week with their grades and their attendance at school. And we do have an accountability with every resident every week on their progress.
So you're holding them responsible for the opportunity that you're giving them, because you do depend on people to give donations, you depend on people to donate their time and services, and you don't want somebody just coming there just to laze around.
Yeah,
That's not the place if you want to laze around.
Genesis house.
Yeah. Sounds like my mom. She used to wake us up at 5 o'clock to start cooking, cleaning, and making beds. She said, this is not the place to sleep around.
It's a little easier than that at Genesis house. They have to be by 8.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd want Nanny Raj there.
18 children. My brother used to say, I don't understand why people in America have to send their children to summer camps to learn responsibility and accountability. All you have to do is send them to Camp Nanny in Trinidad, and everybody would be straight like a needle. And we are.
So what are some of the referring agencies that are referring to you?
We get them through the health department, through the police department. Sometimes they find a homeless person on the street with a child. Many of them call us through knowing about us and say that they've lost their apartment, they've lost their job. The one that called this weekend was she had moved down here from another part of Florida to live with an aunt, and that wasn't working out, and she needed to come to us. So I'm sure she's moving in today.
It's hard to believe there are people here in Brevard County that are on the street homeless with a child.
There are more children in Brevard County homeless and in the school system than any other county in the United States.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
Brevard
you find
And
out?
many of our calls do come from the school systems, from the principals and from the school counselors saying, we have a homeless family here. Can you help us? And right now we have, I think, 4 children that are in school. We had one mother who she just was such a success. We had the call from the school counselor. She came with her 2 absolutely wonderful children, the best mom, the best disciplined, neatest person, and her son was president of the student council and a straight A student, honor student, but they were homeless.
Yeah.
Through really no fault of their own.
And does the Brevard school system help with transportation for these children, or do you have to provide it as well?
No, they help with the transportation. If they're in a certain school and they come to Genesis House, that school will still send
There's no
bus for them.
disruption in their classes.
Right.
Well, that's a good thing.
And the schools are very cooperative with it.
I'm blown away by how many people you guys have helped. Do you have like a reunion sometime that all the people come back? Because I wouldn't know where we would hold such
Well, we haven't had that, but we do have a huge Christmas party every year, and we invite some of the former residents that have stayed in touch with us with their children, and they come to that. And then we see many of them throughout the year. Some of them come. We have a free boutique on our property where people donate clothing and school items, backpacks and all that kind of things, and the residents can go pick out what they need. So many of the former residents come work in that free boutique sorting out clothes, and things that we can't use, we send to another agency. So
Excellent.
nothing gets wasted.
Excellent. So you have donations. You accept donations?
Yes.
You accept food donations as
We
well?
accept food donations.
And then you have this wonderful golf tournament coming up, which is on the 27th. I was looking for the date. Sunday, April 27th, which is very reasonable, actually. $100 a person, $400 for a team is a fantastic price for a best ball scramble.
And it's so much fun.
It is.
They have so much fun.
So tell us one more time, Mary, because we have 2 minutes left of our show today. Hard to believe how fast it goes here, Seeta, but we want to make sure that we get all of our information out there. So, Mary, how does someone get a hold of you and Genesis House to provide services or some donations?
Well, they can find us on the web and find Genesis House, and they'll find Genesis House and all the contact information. And the number is 723-3133. So.
And Tom, if we're trying to find your book or FirstWave Financial to get some financial advice, even if you're just starting out and you're not quite sure what you need to do, how do they get a hold of you?
You can give us a call at 321-773-7773. We'll deliver value whether we can work together directly or not. My book is available on Amazon, or you can go to our website, firstwavefinancial.com, and there's a link right on the home page. So you just click on that. It takes you right to Amazon. There's both print copy and ebook.
And make sure you check out the Space Coast Business Magazine, last month, the February edition, to look up Laura Chiesman's great bio and all the great things that she does. And how does someone get in touch with you directly, Laura?
Same number, 773-7773, and I'd love to speak to anyone that I can help or point in the right direction.
Fantastic.
I really appreciate being part of this and having my daughter on our board of directors and have her pushing for us to get out here and be more out in the public. And,
well, I think for the entire hour, I had chill bumps, just because of again, you can just tell when people are heart-centered and involved in the community. So, Seeta, another great week here on Viewpoint with Seeta and friends.
Hats tomorrow. Don't forget ABWA at 6 o'clock at the O'Galley Yacht Club.
Yes.
We have our big shindig tomorrow night.
Look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks, Seeta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Seeta. Thank you, Ellen. Ellen.